Well, good evening, folks. Welcome back to the farm. This is day 2 inside the old Ronaverse here. And just, thank you so much to everybody that's given us an outpouring of support over the last couple of days, just as we're kind of working our way through farm lockdown. You know, what's the consequence of that? For us here on the farm, actually really, really minimal because we're well prepared. So not a huge deal. It's just feeling kind of gross for a couple of days is the way it's going to be. Anyways, that aside, what are we going to talk about here today? Today is, I don't want to strap on a tinfoil hat or anything like that, but we are going to talk about some things that, we may just have to do without in 2022. So I got a list of 5 things, maybe 6. We'll see if we get there. 5 things for sure that likely in 2022, we're just going to have to either be strategic in our purchasing or give some extra thought to some viable alternatives for some things, right? So the first one is paper goods. So believe it or not, in 2020 there was a whole panic buy, toilet paper shortage, consumer fueled shortage. In fact, in 2022, labor shortages continue, mills are impacted, and it's expected that, the old toilet paper shenanigan is going to rear its ugly head again. And in fact, from the onset of that in 2020, when all the paper companies said, no, we've got lots of toilet paper, and people were just hoarding it, and there's just Costco-sized warehouses full of toilet paper. Well, in fact, speaking of Costco, since that day, many Costco's have actually since still been limiting how many big bulk things of toilet paper each consumer can take out the door with them. And never in the history of Costco has that ever been done. So that alone should be a red flag that maybe things aren't quite as, peachy as we're sold. So expect that in 2022 to actually become a legitimate supply chain issue, not only in manufacturing, but also just physically getting it here is going to be a challenge. Number two is canned goods. Now that could be everything from pet food, cans of pop, tomato paste, all the stuff that we get that comes in cans essentially is going to be impacted. And that's all because of a global aluminum shortage. Now, where did this happen? So early on in the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of bars and pubs were shut down. Again, there was this consumer fueled shortage that occurred because everybody and their dog ran down to the local liquor store because that was the only thing that was open, and just started stockpiling beer and all kinds of alcohol, which subsequently left to, just taking all the coins out of circulation essentially. So led to an aluminum shortage. The other thing that fueled this now and going forward into 2022, in November of 2021, there was a massive explosion in Yunnan province in China, which impacted, it was actually at a aluminum smelting plant. So that immediately just took offline 300,000 tons of aluminum production per year. So if it's made of aluminum, chances are it's either going to be slow to arrive or it may not arrive at all. Number 3, eggs and meat. We're going to talk more on this one in a couple of weeks here. Well, not even a couple of weeks. Next week. We were scheduled to do a live actually tomorrow night, but because of the Rona, I had to postpone because my buddy Rob was going to come over. We're going to have a real good discussion on this one. But eggs and meat 2021, there's continuing challenges with supply chains. Farmers got lots, markets got room, consumers have room in their freezer. There's just a massive bottleneck at processing facilities. Any of this cross-border stuff, there's a whole thing with truckers right now. It's just a nightmare. Not to mention, the price of meat. The price of meat has increased exponentially over 2020, 2021, and now into 2022. And we just came out of one of the, a drought year of biblical proportions, let's be honest, which did what to the price of grain? Absolutely skyrocket. Which, what happened to the price of fertilizer for the fields that those grain grows in? Absolutely skyrockets, right? So I wouldn't call this a trickle down effect. This is like cascading effect, right? It's big changes coming. Price of fertilizer, as an example, is expected to increase 80% in 2022, on top of there already being a shortage. So there's going to be a shortage. The stuff that is available is going to be real expensive. So then you can imagine what grain is going to do into 2022 and into 2023, which brings me to shortage number 4, and that is cereal products. And that's everything from Rice Krispies, which you probably already heard that at the end of last year. Grandma couldn't make Rice Krispie squares. What the heck happened? There was a massive shortage of Rice Krispies. But this is everything from Rice Krispies to hot dog buns that are in jeopardy here. The soaring grain prices, the global drought, everything impacted this, and it's made some of these products just economically non-viable. So you go to the grocery store now and you'll see, okay, well, there's maybe still, these products are still on the shelf, but they're only stacked 1 high instead of 2 high, and maybe instead of being 3 or 4 deep, they're only 1 or 2 deep. And grocery stores are doing a really good job of staging. They're staging the product that they have in store to make it look and to kind of trick the consumer a little bit into believing that, it looks like things are okay. But you get there on a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day it is before the actual grocery truck shows up to reload the store, and it's looking like tumbleweeds blowing down aisle 5. Things are getting bare around there. Now, grain, of course, it's not just hot dog buns. It's not just Cheerios. Here's the thing that's going to upset a lot of people. Number 5 in 2022, if you don't have it already, you might have to find some copper and figure out a way to do this. But beer, alcohol, whiskey, believe it or not, for all of the reasons listed above, grain is super short supply. The stuff that's available, very, very expensive. Aluminum, very, very short supply. So you're not just going to run down to the Costco and buy a 60-pack of beer in the middle of July. Chances are there's going to be a mass shortage. So yeah, those are the 5 things that we're probably going to run real short of here in 2022. Some of them you can live without, some of them you cannot. You know what? You can probably live without beer. It's not going to make your summer's not going to be as fun. But hey, you know what? If you run out of eggs and meat in the summertime, boy, oh boy, that sure is going to be a pickle. Is there a solution to that? Absolutely there is. Talk to your local butcher, talk to some local farmers. The product is there. The product is accessible. The problem, however, is that we have a system of dependence on middlemen, right? The blockage, right? The bottleneck that I'm talking about is because we have these people in the middle that we've grown to rely upon and have now basically been overstretched and have exceeded their capacity. And so the best thing to do, honestly, if you want something, is go right to the source. I wouldn't recommend doing that with toilet paper because the old spruce trees aren't as supple as the stuff you can get in Costco. But definitely eggs, meat. Go to your farmer's market, get canned goods, get all that kind of stuff. Beer, whiskey. Yeah, you know what? Anybody can have a hobby and brew that stuff in the back of the garage or whatever. But yeah, if you're looking to not run short of these things here in 2022, highly suggest you start looking for that stuff now. Anyways, on that note, well, I think it's time for me to go for a cup of tea and maybe get tucked into bed. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.